Good morning. This is your news report and your Bitcoin update and your cryptocurrencies update as of Friday, November 27th. So hopping right on over here, we do have Bitcoin down on the week, day, and hour. This is to be expected. We are in a bull run right now, but pullbacks of up to 40% can happen. I don't think anyone's projecting we'll be below 13K at any point for Bitcoin, but we do want to keep our eye on that. A largely negative day for most altcoins, but some, like in the case of XRP, are still up quite a bit on the week. In terms of Bitcoin dominance by market cap, we are still around 63%. Not too much to watch out for here because we're in a pullback phase, so we'll want to keep our eyes on this one moving forward. Over at Bitcoin Treasuries, this shows us the amount of money in publicly traded companies' treasuries that is stored in Bitcoin, and we are still at 4.01% of the total Bitcoin supply that is owned by publicly traded companies and stored in their treasuries. So not too much change there. Over at Cycle Repeat, we do now have an all-time high predicted around 360K per Bitcoin, which is pretty close to what we discussed about a month ago. Looking closer, this is now because we had the pullback we just experienced. They're not projecting that we will start climbing in price again until end of the first week of December. So if you want to start dollar cost averaging in, now's a good time. It's also possible that we could drop lower than this, as we'll look at shortly. Over on the stock to flow model, we do see that the price value today is 17K for Bitcoin, and the fair value should be around 24 or 23K. So this means we do still have a lot of positive upside, and as you can see, the fair value is just going to keep increasing now that the halving event is being taken into consideration. So keep that in mind, that on the long term, we do have a very positive trend for Bitcoin. Shorter term, though, we do have a huge amount of buy interest for Bitcoin, so it's unlikely that we'll be falling too much further than this. Previously, we did have a huge amount of support at the 13K level to 13.5, so I don't think we'll be dropping any lower than that if we do experience more of a pullback, but that is still to be determined. Over on the Bitcoin search trends, we are reaching a new all-time high for search interest in Bitcoin, which typically correlates to more retail getting involved, which also correlates to the peak. So it would be a good time to start taking profits and just removing some money from the table to save yourself in case there is a pullback as we're experiencing now. This is nowhere near the absolute peak of this bull market. As you can see, what we had in 2017, where Bitcoin's value peaked at around 19K, up from something like 1,000. We still have a long way to go till then. We're only at about 18 search interest, as opposed to before, where they were up to 60, 80, 90, 100. So we have quite a bit of upside yet to go, most likely. So that's it for Bitcoin. Looking on over at DeFi, we do have $12.7 billion of value locked in decentralized finance. This is about the same as yesterday. I think not too much changed because the only shift was the drop in price of altcoins and Bitcoin, not necessarily people pulling their money off of exchanges, as we saw happen with Uniswap, where there was like $3 billion of liquidity locked. And then after their incentives program dried up, everyone started pulling their money out. In Bitcoin news, there is something really interesting that is a use case I hadn't heard about before that I wanted to share. Nigerians are using Bitcoin more because they have a more oppressive government right now, and that is limiting their money, like where they can and can't spend their money, how much money they can spend. And whenever the government shuts down your bank account, there's nothing really you can do. And so what the Nigerian people are finding is that they can put their money into Bitcoin, and then they are able to pay people they want for what they want, and they don't have any regulations from the bank. And if the government tries to shut down their money for donating to, say, a humanitarian cause or something, they can't do that because Bitcoin is decentralized and can't be shut down by any one government. Another thing is that the exchange rate in Nigeria is about 20 to 30% off the actual value. So what that means is that if I were to exchange one of my dollars for one of your dollars, instead of one of your dollars, they would only give me 0.8 or $0.7 worth per $1 I gave you. And so the way to circumvent these like ridiculous exchange rates, because you're losing a quarter of your wealth basically every time you exchange your money, the way Nigerians are finding to circumvent this is through using Bitcoin, because as you may know, Bitcoin has very low fees relative to traditional banking systems, and it's typically flat fees as well, whether you transfer a little bit or a lot. So it's much easier to get around these exchange rate issues than when you have using the bank directly. So that's a really cool use case for Bitcoin that I hadn't heard of before. And this could also change the financial system as a whole, just because if people find that exchanging is cheaper using Bitcoin or blockchain based cryptocurrencies, then exchanges and financial institutions will have to figure out how to either reduce their fees or will become mostly obsolete, which is really interesting to think about. This won't happen very quickly, but it will happen probably in the next couple decades or so. So it's interesting to see where that will go. So heading on over to our coronavirus dashboard, we do still see growth of the virus cases in this third wave. And on our map chart, we do still see that the entire country, for the most part, is entirely red, which is not a good thing. We do not want to see any of the country red. And there are some places such as Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming, Wisconsin, South Dakota, Minnesota that are very, very far into the red zone, like 8 times worse than what experts predicted the worst case scenario would be, which was the red region. We are over 12.5 million confirmed cases as of Wednesday, which is growing at a slower rate than it was previously. You kind of see the trend going from exponential to tapering off and more linear one. So hopefully this continues and starts going down. Experts did project that holiday gatherings for Thanksgiving and other holidays would be super spreader events. So hopefully you were careful seeing family if you did go to see family, and we can kind of flatten this curve so that we don't have so many coronavirus infections and consequential deaths, of which we are up over 250,000 deaths so far in this country. And that does not include the people that are affected by the virus but have not died. This is also a major issue worldwide. As you can see, cases have gone up quite significantly. We are experiencing a bit of a downtrend, so that is a good thing. Hopefully this continues, but we want to keep our eye out on that one. So that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you found this informative. It would really help out my channel and I'd greatly appreciate it. Subscribing will post my videos to your YouTube feed or your Facebook feed or wherever you're watching this video so that you get more time-sensitive crypto content whenever possible. And I hope to also save you time so that you can save money and make money if that's your goal. I try to post here daily and I regularly post on all my other social media platforms as well. So check me out on there. That's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care, stay safe, and happy holidays.